UK correspondent Daniel Sandford. Daniel, not terrorism, the police said.
Yeah, I think the sort of two principal headlines are that although they had consulted counter-terrorism...
Turn left onto Pettit's Road, then turn left onto Heathway.
At this stage, they don't have anything to suggest that it is
terrorism. Turn right onto Rogers Road.
And more broadly, actually asked the question in a slightly different way. They said that there's no information that this is a politically motivated crime. I know that the 26-year-old man that's been arrested was arrested in Newton Abbot, which is about 12 miles
turn
away
right
from
onto Reed Road.
Anne Widdecombe's home in Haytor. It's the nearest big town. So although we're being asked not to speculate, it looks to me like this is more like sort of a more normal kind of criminality than any kind of serious kind of state threat or terrorism or anything like that. Not that there's
Turn
anything
right onto Reed Road.
About an elderly woman being very seriously injured in her own home.
No, and I don't think you were saying that. You were making this distinction between terrorism and murder that is not alleged murder that is not considered
in 300
terrorism.
Yards, turn left onto Hunters Hall Road.
There is going to be a great deal of speculation on social media. Dal Babu was alluding to that. Do you suspect it means there'll have to be another political statement from the Prime Minister now that more information is known?
No, I'm not sure that he's going to feel the need to that. Obviously, a key part of his original statement was an appeal for people to come forward and help them.
Turn left onto Hunters Hall
Road,
then turn left onto Holgate Road.
But I think the sense amongst senior politicians is just that they wanted to make sure that they were also
in 200 yards, turn left onto Pondfield Road.
A huge part of political life right back into the 1990s.
Turn left onto Pondfield Road.
While we wait to hear what the reason for this horrendous murder might have been, the politicians are going to want us to focus hard on...
degree days. The previous record was set in that notorious summer of 1976. So what's in store for the weekend? Well, more hot weather, but the hottest and sunniest weather will be found across southern and western parts of the UK, with more cloud rolling in further north and east. Now, right now, we've just got one or two showers that have popped up across parts of northwest England, giving one or two flashes of lightning, rumbles of thunder.
Right
We've also got some showery rain in the north of Scotland. We'll keep rain in the northeast of Scotland overnight. A lot of cloud rolling into the eastern side of England. Elsewhere, some clear spells and a very warm night. Into tomorrow, across eastern and northeastern parts of England, a lot of cloud rolling into coastal areas, but for elsewhere in England and Wales, long spells of sunshine. Temperatures, parts of South Wales, southwest England, 33 degrees. Northern Ireland seeing a fair bit of cloud, but it will be largely dry, some sunny spells. Very cloudy across Scotland to start, brightening up in the west, some outbreaks of rain up towards the north and the east, and temperatures for Northern Ireland and Scotland 16 to 24 degrees.
Ben, thank you very much indeed. Today's studio director was Charlotta Hadroy-Tuzminska, the editor Guy Emanuel. The 6 o'clock news is next.
BBC News at 6 o'clock. This is Jane Steele. Good evening. Police in Devon launch a murder inquiry after Anne Widdecombe, the former Conservative minister turned TV personality, is found dead at her home on Dartmoor. In the past few minutes, a statement from the Assistant Chief Constable.
We can confirm that a 26-year-old man was arrested at an address in Newton Abbot this afternoon on suspicion of the murder of Anne Widdecombe. The suspect, who is a white British national, remains in police custody whilst the inquiries continue.
At least 12 dead, including 4 believed to be British, as wildfires sweep parts of southern Spain.
Estamos ante un incendio muy complicado.
This is a very complex fire, says the president of the regional government. It has spread like gunpowder. 2 brothers are jailed for a murder they committed 42 years ago after a tip-off from a disgruntled relative prompts a new undercover police operation. Drama in the skies as an airline passenger is half sucked out of a broken window on a flight between Greece and Germany. Also this evening,
Ferry reaching for the forehand. It's over the baseline. Alex Zverev reaches his first Wimbledon final, and Arthur Ferry's run is done. The wild card, and what a wild ride it's been.
The Wimbledon dream is over, for this year at least. Arthur Ferry falls to the second seed Alexander Zverev in the semi-finals. And
what were you doing throwing flapjacks?
I was provoked.
I thought this was a protest against food waste.
Turn right onto Rainham Road South, A1112.
That came to hand.
Farewell to Patricia Green, who played Jill Archer here on Radio 4 for 69 years. A 26-year-old white British man has been arrested on suspicion of murdering the former government minister Anne Widdecombe. Police found the body of the 78-year-old at her house near Newton Abbot in Devon yesterday morning. Just before we came on air, the Assistant Chief Constable of Devon and Cornwall Police, Matt Longman, gave a news conference.
We can confirm that a 26-year-old man was arrested at an address in Newton Abbot this afternoon on suspicion of the murder of Anne Widdecombe. The suspect, who is a white British national, remains in police custody whilst inquiries continue. Officers were called to Miss Widdecombe's home at Haytor by the ambulance service around 11:40 a.m. on Thursday the 9th of July. Sadly, 78-year-old Miss Widdecombe was located deceased within the property. She has sustained serious injuries.
Our correspondent Jenny Kumar is outside Miss Widdecombe's home in Devon.
There's a heavy police presence here outside the home of Anne Widdecombe. There's vans on the driveway and on the road. Police cars have closed the road. Now, this is a quiet, small, rural area very near the village of Haytor Vale. There aren't many surrounding neighbouring properties, and a sense I'm getting from people I've spoken to is there's a real sense of shock and sadness as these details emerge around the circumstances of the death of the former MP.
Our correspondent Simon Jones has been following the story as it has developed during the day.
Anne Widdecombe's death was announced by her agent early this morning. At that stage, there was no indication how she had died. As the tributes to her long political career were continuing to come in, this afternoon Devon and Cornwall Police revealed they had begun a murder investigation. The ambulance service was called to her home in Dartmoor yesterday, just before midday. She had sustained serious injuries. The Prime Minister has described the murder investigation as shocking news.
I've spoken to the Speaker of the House, I've spoken to the Leader of the Opposition, I've spoken to Nigel Farage as the Leader of Reform, and I've spoken to Andy Burnham to urge everybody to come together at a moment like this and to urge everybody to help the police. But my thoughts are very much with the family and friends of Anne Widdecombe, a distinguished politician over many, many years.
The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, said she could not understand how someone could do something so horrific to an elderly woman.
I'm stunned. To be honest, I don't really have the words for what we've discovered has happened. Anne Widdecombe was 78 years old. She was a fun and very feisty person, but she was an elderly person. I don't understand how someone could do something like this. I'm just heartbroken thinking about her family. It's one thing when an elderly person dies, but to know that they were killed, I can't imagine what they must be going
in half
through.
A mile at the roundabout, take the first exit and stay on Rainham Road South, A1112.
For Maidstone in Kent for 23 years. She opposed abortion, assisted dying and gay rights, and supported the reintroduction of the death penalty. She was an enthusiastic backer of Brexit and went on to join first the Brexit Party, for whom she was an MEP, and Reform UK. She faced comments in the press about her appearance, with one newspaper calling her Doris Karloff, a reference to the Hollywood horror star Boris Karloff. But she brushed off the barb, saying, "I am toothy, dumpy, ugly, overweight, a spinster. What the hell?" She was still on our screens only this week. On Wednesday, the day before she died, she appeared on Talk TV to defend Nigel Farage's decision to trigger the Clacton by-election.
He has said, I don't have to put up with all this hounding and harassment for as long as, the establishment or the press fancy it. I can actually take matters into my own hands now. And that is what he's done.
She had become an unlikely star of reality TV, appearing on Strictly Come Dancing in 2010. She described her own moves as galumphing, but made it to the 9th week of the contest. Her dance partner, Anton Dubek, said he was devastated to learn of her death. Miss Widdecombe's management team said the past 24 hours had been very traumatic and upsetting.
Officials in Spain say 4 British citizens are believed to be among 12 people who've been killed by a big wildfire in the south of the country. 23 people are still missing. Hundreds of emergency service and military personnel are responding to the fire, which broke out near Los Gallardos, not far from the Mediterranean coast. The president of the Andalucía region said it had spread like gunpowder. Our correspondent Guy Hedgecoe reports from Madrid.
This is already the worst fire the Andalusia region has ever seen in terms of human loss. There are fears the number of dead will rise. The bodies of 4 of the victims were found in a car. The authorities said they believe they were British because the steering wheel was on the right-hand side. 8 other people who are known to have died had tried to escape the flames on foot. This is a popular area for tourists, many of whom are British. Peter Chapman, from the UK, has a holiday home in nearby Mojácar.
This morning when we got up, the sun was blocked out and we had ash all over our terrace. The wind has changed direction, so it's a lot clearer now, and hopefully it won't go.
Of who are thought to be foreign holiday makers had failed to heed evacuation instructions. Investigators have inspected a collapsed power cable, which was initially blamed for starting the blaze. The local technicians have said electricity was not running through it. Helicopters and planes have been dropping water on the blaze as firefighters try to bring it under control with the help of the military. The president of the Andalusia region, Juanma Moreno, said there's a huge response underway.
We're deploying every resource at our disposal. Yesterday there were 16 aerial resources, there were around 500 personnel working in the area, and in short, we are doing everything technically and humanly possible to bring the fire under control.
This area of southeastern Spain, which is slightly inland from the coast, is hilly and covered with vegetation, making firefighting difficult. Spain, as with much of southern Europe, has been experiencing high temperatures in recent days, and windy conditions in the area have increased the risk of wildfires.
France has also been dealing with wildfires, and the country is now activating an extreme heat emergency plan for the first time in all areas. 9 administrative regions in the west of France will put on the highest heatwave alert today, and 24 will be affected tomorrow. Our Global Affairs reporter Mimi Swaby has more.
France is suffering its 3rd crippling heatwave of the year, and now it's under its highest red heat
at Newton's Corner.
The government
take
says
the second exit onto
will be
Rainham
opened
Road,
to shelter the most vulnerable,
A125.
and a special civil response team will mobilise additional resources, including thousands more air conditioning units to hospitals. The authorities in several regions have imposed water use restrictions. Wildfires displaced about 10,000 people in southern France earlier this week as bone-dry vegetation fueled fast-moving flames. Blazes have scorched twice as much land so far this year as in the same period last
Exit
year,
the roundabout onto Rainham Road.
More than 8,000
In
fires
300
have been
yards
recorded
at the
since
roundabout,
January,
take the
burning an
first
area
exit
roughly
and stay on
equivalent
Rainham
to
Road,
35,700 football pitches. Last month, there were more than 2,000 heat-related deaths in France. With temperatures now expected to climb above 40 degrees Celsius, the French High Council on Climate has again warned the country's efforts on cutting emissions and climate adaptation remain insufficient.
A large fire is blazing on the Channel Islands Sark, where the emergency services have declared a major incident. It's so far been confined to cliffs on the peninsula Little Sark and hasn't spread to any properties. The neighbouring island of Guernsey has sent fire crews to help and says 5 of its team have been injured. The chief of the Sark Fire and Rescue Service, Kevin Adams, says the dry conditions aren't helping.
We don't like any fires. I'm not saying this one was started by a bonfire, but it literally just is so bone dry. I'm standing in a field here and there's just bare grass, and I wouldn't be surprised if it crossed a football pitch in less than a minute.
A man has appeared in court in County Tyrone after a model of a mosque was placed on top of a bonfire. The police service of Northern Ireland said it had planned to remove the effigy, which it described as a hate display, before the bonfire was set alight last night. Our Ireland correspondent Sarah Gervin reports.
The police service of Northern Ireland said the operation to remove the mosque effigy was at an advanced stage when the bonfire was lit a night earlier than planned. As well as the replica, signs were attached to the structure which read, "Secure Armagh has featured other controversial displays in the past. Last year, the effigy was a migrant boat." This morning, a 56-year-old man appeared in court in Dungannon, charged with incitement to hatred in connection with the mosque model. Brian Conrad Neal, who's from the town, was remanded in custody. There has been widespread political condemnation of the effigy, with it being described as sowing hate and causing fear. At a meeting of the British-Irish Council in Guernsey, Sinn Féin's Kiva Archibald had this to say.
Unfortunately, every year we see illegal, unregulated fires which put lives, public services, our communities at risk, pollute our environment and sow division. And I think we do need to see a united political effort to tackling that and to having an approach which promotes safety first and tolerance in such cultural celebrations.
Gordon Lyons from the Democratic Unionist Party said there was
in
no place for the burning of flags or
take
effigies.
The first exit onto New Road, A1306.
An important event in our history, and the celebrations should reflect that. Unfortunately, there's some that try to demonise all of those cultural celebrations that take place.
Police say an investigation into what they've described as the hate-motivated crime is ongoing.
2 brothers have been jailed for the murder of a civil servant in North London 42 years after the killing. Anthony Littler was beaten to death in an alleyway in East Finchley in 1984. Michael and Anthony Stewart were finally caught after a family tip-off led to a new undercover police operation, as our correspondent Guy Lynn reports.
Anthony Littler was ambushed while walking home from East Finchley Station just after midnight. 3 police investigations, even featuring appeals on the BBC's Crime Watch, ended without any charges. But tip-offs from those close to the brothers, Michael and Anthony Stewart, who were just 15 and 18 at the time, and living a few hundred yards away from the alleyway, gave detectives a way forward. A younger brother had, after a family argument, gone to police and said that over many years since 1984, his brothers had talked about the killing. The case was reopened in 2022, this time with an undercover operation. 2 covert officers spent months working their way into Michael Stewart's life, secretly recording him. As time and again he spoke about the killing, insisting his brother had carried out an attack on the man they believed to be gay. This is the moment police arrested him, 40 years after the attack.
I'm not a murderer. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I was 14 years old when this happened.
Mrs. Justice Cutts said their group had been lying in wait, targeting men they believed to be gay. There was no evidence, the court heard, that Anthony Littler was. His cousin, Patricia McClear, one of his only remaining close relatives, waited 42 years for this day.
How dare you? You ruined Michael's life, and you've had a nice life, I assume. I'm beginning to feel very emotional inside again because it's obviously brought it all back to me. But I am beginning to feel that at long last, he has got a closure, and he hasn't had it for 42 years.
Asked why it had taken so long to bring the brothers to justice, Detective Chief Inspector Neil John of the Metropolitan Police, who led the successful operation, told the BBC, "We never forget, and we never give up."
A plane travelling from Greece to Germany was forced to turn back after a passenger was nearly sucked out of a cabin window mid-air. Witnesses say the man's head and shoulders were pulled outside when the window broke. The aircraft, operated by a subsidiary of Ryanair, Malta Air, landed safely. Here's our business correspondent Theo Leggett.
The aircraft, an 18-year-old Boeing 737, was a few minutes into an early morning flight from Thessaloniki to Memmingen when the incident happened. Ryanair said a window became dislodged. Witnesses told local media they heard a loud bang before the window shattered and oxygen masks dropped down. As air rushed out of the plane, a 61-year-old Serbian man is reported to have been partially sucked out of the window, although he was restrained by his seatbelt while his wife also held onto his legs. A former airline pilot, Chris Brady, says this shows why wearing seatbelts throughout a flight is a very good idea.
We do, as captains, always say to the passengers, please keep your seatbelts fastened as a precaution in flight, even when we switch the belt signs off. And it's for exactly this sort of thing, or for turbulence encounters or whatever. So it is good practice to leave your seatbelts on.
A spokesman for the Pan-Hellenic Federation of Public Hospital Employees said the man was conscious, in shock, and had sustained friction burns, which were being treated in hospital. Ryanair has not commented on the cause of the incident, which is under investigation, although local reports claim it was due to debris from a damaged engine striking the window.
You're listening to the 6 o'clock news on BBC Radio 4. The main news so far. Police investigating the murder of the former government minister and television personality Anne Widdecombe have arrested a 26-year-old man. At least 12 people, 4 of them believed to be British tourists, have died in a wildfire in southern Spain. Still to come.
We're incredibly proud
of this recognition for Frank Shue, a pioneer.
A blue plaque for the first and so far only man of East Asian heritage to represent the England football team. The unlikely dream is on hold. The British wildcard
in a
Arthur
quarter
Ferry
of a mile
has
at
crashed
the
out of
roundabout,
Wimbledon in the
continue
semi-finals.
straight to stay on New
German
Road,
second seed Alexander
A1306.
Zverev was just too strong for him, knocking him out in straight sets on centre court.
The backhand from Zverev. Ferry reaching for the forehand. It's over the baseline. Alex Zverev reaches his first Wimbledon final, and Arthur Ferry's run is done. The wild card. And what a wild ride it's been.
Our sports correspondent Katie Gornall joins us live from Wimbledon.
Arthur Ferry leaves Wimbledon beaten but transformed. The wild card no one saw coming.
In 300 yards at Wennington Interchange, take the first exit onto the A13 slip road to M25, Dartford.
And defied all expectations to reach the semi-finals, where he faced the second seed Alexander Zverev. Ferry made a promising start, but Zverev, the French Open champion, was a class above. Although Ferry produced some great touches, particularly at the net, Zverev, with his ferocious serve, was always in control. The German came through in straight sets to reach his first Wimbledon final.
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto A13.
To his opponent.
He's going to be
in 100 yards at Wennington Interchange, continue straight onto Arterial Road,
for 15
London
plus
Road.
years, and it's going to have great results. I think this was just the beginning of his career.
On Monday, Ferry will be confirmed as the new British #1 and will rise to 36th in the world. He walks out of his home Grand Slam with his reputation enhanced after a fortnight he'll never forget.
It's obviously an unbelievable achievement. I'm really proud of it. A lot of matches, a long 10 days, 2 weeks, but yeah, really happy with it. I'm conscious that not many people can say they're a Slam semi-finalist, so yeah, hopefully can use that momentum and rest and recharge the batteries.
And the other men's semi-final is taking place right now. Defending champion Jannik Sinner against Novak Djokovic, who's chasing a record 25th Grand Slam title. Sinner, the world #1, is currently 2 sets to love up and a break up in the third set, which he leads 3-1. It feels a long way back for Djokovic now.
Katie Gornall, thank you. President Trump has agreed to new diplomatic talks with Iran, but again stressed that the ceasefire was over. In a post on social media, he said the US had accepted a request by Tehran for negotiations to continue, but had made clear the truce had ended. His comments follow a week of escalating military action, including Iranian attacks on commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz.
In a quarter of a mile at the roundabout, take the first exit and stay on Arterial Road, A1306.
Has dismissed a report in the Times newspaper that police are investigating a donation of at least £500,000 given to the party before the general election in 2024. The money came from Fiona Cottrell, the mother of the convicted fraudster George Cottrell. The Sunday Times has reported that he provided Nigel Farage with social media staff and security. Our political correspondent Ian Watson reports.
The Metropolitan Police has confirmed to the BBC that there is an ongoing investigation
exit the roundabout
into
onto Arterial Road.
Party. 2 people have been interviewed.
Continue on Arterial Road for 3/4 of a mile.
Fiona Cottrell made 2 payments of £250,000 to Reform in the weeks leading up to the 2024 general election, when Nigel Farage was first elected. The investigation is said to relate to allegations of concealing or disguising donations derived from an impermissible donor. That would tend to be a foreign donor or someone living abroad who isn't in the UK electoral register. The police are also looking into whether there was false information about the donations, including the amount or identity of the donor. Fiona Cottrell is the mother of George Cottrell. The Sunday Times reported at the weekend that he had provided security and social media staff for Nigel Farage. He's a close associate of the Reform UK leader and is now believed to live in Montenegro. Lawyers for George Cottrell dispute the Sunday Times coverage. Reform UK's deputy leader, Richard Tice, suggested to Times Radio that the allegations were politically motivated.
I've known the Cottrell family, my family have known the Cottrell family
at the
for 50
roundabout,
years.
take the
A
third
very
exit and stay on Arterial Road,
As far as I'm
A1306.
concerned, she's a permissible donor. This is about the establishment trying to kill off a disruptive political party.
BBC News has attempted to contact Fiona Cottrell for comment. Reform sources say none of their party officials has been interviewed by the police.
In cricket, history was made in North London this morning as Lords hosted its first women's test match. The BBC's Alison Mitchell was watching.
The first ball of a women's test at Lord's. Bell is into Mandano's a play and a miss, pushing forwards defensively. Beautiful shape delivery, fraction past the outside edge.
England won the toss and elected to bowl in the 4-day match. A short time ago, they were 13 for 1 in response to India's first innings total of 285. England's men's cricketers have been given guidelines which advise them not to consume alcohol on the day before and the day after matches. The updated policy confirms a midnight curfew is in place on every day of a series at home or on tour. The document was given to
in
players
300
after a nightclub
yards
incident
at the roundabout, take the third exit onto West Thurrock Way,
being dropped
B186.
for a test against New Zealand this summer. Stokes has now retired from international cricket. Anticipation is growing for England's quarter-final match against Norway at the Men's Football World Cup tomorrow night. There are some injury worries, and England supporters around the country are looking ahead with nervous trepidation. And our North of England correspondent Danny Savage has been to meet a fan who knows one of the England
Exit
players
the roundabout
very well.
onto West Thurrock Way.
On some football fields in Sheffield,
In a quarter of a mile at the roundabout, take the second exit and stay on West Thurrock Way, B186.
They're looking forward to watching England's game tomorrow, taking place in sweltering Miami.
My favourite player is Jude Bellingham because he's been really good and he just moves around every time he switches on. My favourite player is Harry Kane and because he's a really good striker.
Home loyalty isn't unanimous though, especially when money is involved.
I want Norway to win because I got it on the sweepstake.
125 miles further north, at the other end of the football age spectrum, Jim Welsh loves watching England. The retired teacher used to be Jordan Pickford's PE coach at school.
I'm just over the moon that he has achieved what he has done and got to where he is now.
Here's the corner into the near post, flicked on, rattles around and lands in the hands of Pickford. Oh, what a let-off that was.
He had it in his mind that that is what his aim was in life, to be a footballer, and he did it.
Of course, if Norway
Exit
go
the
out,
roundabout
we will
onto
all
West
miss the
Thurrock
World
Way.
Cup viral
In 200
sensation
yards
of
at the
the
roundabout,
Viking rowing,
take the second exit
where
and stay on West
fans and
Thurrock
players
Way,
sit in lines,
B186.
pulling at invisible oars. It is quite the spectacle. For the next 24 hours, though, excitement and worry will grow for England fans. Ahead of the next stage of the World Cup.
The first footballer of Asian heritage to represent England has been honoured with a blue plaque. Frank Soo played for England 9 times during the Second World War. The plaque from historic England has been unveiled at the house where he was born in Buxton in Derbyshire. Our Midlands correspondent Navtej Johal reports.
Frank Soo was born a few months before the start of the First World War. His father was Chinese, his mother was English, and they ran a laundry business in Buxton. During the 1930s, he became a household name as he captained the Stoke City side, which included the legendary Sir Stanley Matthews. But Soo lost most of his best.
The back garden, so it's like our own little beach resort. Paddling pool and cocktail bar. I know it sounds daft.
Turn left towards Arterial Road, A1306.
And we need to celebrate him getting his dream job too.
Really? What's that?
Rural crime officer.
Oh, you must both be so happy. No wonder you're eager to see him.
3 more days.
In 300 yards at the roundabout, take the 4th exit and stay on Arterial Road, A1306.
Waiting here. I tried to end the call as soon as I could.
That's okay.
Do you mind if we walk? I need to check how Ed's got on cleaning out the grain store.
No, walking's fine.
I'm guessing you're in my position now. If he wants to waste his time pursuing it through his lawyer, that's up to him.
He doesn't.
Oh.
You can see all the pain it would cause. He didn't want to put the rest of the family through it.
I see. Well, in that case, I'm glad he's come to his senses. Not sure what there is to discuss then.
You do know that all he's ever wanted is your approval. That's all. For you to actually treat him like a son.
I've always treated Adam like a son.
Oh, really? You aren't even my own children.
I'm sorry.
That's what you said, isn't it? You poor Adam. You offered him the farm. He thought you'd finally accepted him.
I have accepted him.
No, you haven't. You've always kept him at arm's length.
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
Oh, is it? Adam told me what you said to him and Debbie. Why on earth would I leave you to the land?
Ian, I've done everything for Adam. Since he was a child. I raised him, I taught him about farming. Heavens, I even paid to send him to my old boarding school.
Oh, which he hated. You just sent him there to get rid of him?
Not at all. I've given Adam every opportunity. And what have I got in return? Stabbed in the back. He tried to oust
Exit
me
the
from my
roundabout
own
onto
farm.
Arterial
I'm
Road.
standing around listening to this.
No, Brian, wait, I've not finished.
Well, I have. You can think what you like.
I know it was Rory who bottled George.
Continue on Arterial Road for 3/4 of a mile.
George, it was you. That's what you do for a son you really care for.
I see. And is there a reason for this accusation? I mean, if it's meant to be a threat, you might as well be clear about it. No. Then I think it's best you leave.
Pay Adam what he's owed. Or I'll tell George the truth. Is that clear enough for you now, Brian?
The BBC Concert Orchestra transports us back to Ambridge, celebrating 75 years of the Archers in a special edition of BBC Radio 3's Friday Night is Music Night. Here on Radio 4 next, Screenshot.
Zombie fungi seem to zombify insects.
Grotesque, bizarre, really horrible. It threatens our notions of self. What am I, and what am I in relation to?
Exit the roundabout onto Arterial Road.
I'm Bridget Nichols.
Continue
and
on
I'm
Arterial
investigating
Road for
how
1
this
mile.
natural phenomenon has inspired the worlds of science and art.
The myth of the zombie provides a recognised cultural structure for exploring anxieties.
The art of being a zombie ant fungus.
What would a mushroom sound like if it did sing?
Next Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 on Radio 4 and BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 4.
Hello and welcome to Screenshot, Radio 4's guide through the ever-expanding universe of the moving image. I'm Eleni Jones.
And I'm Mark Kermode. Now, the hospital drama The Pit has been attracting a great deal of attention, as well as a ton of awards recently. A new medical TV series with an old pedigree, The Pit reunites some of the creative minds behind ER with that show's former star Noah Wiley, who not only plays the lead character, Dr. Robbie, but also produces and sometimes writes the new show.
Set over the course of a long, chaotic shift in a busy Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania emergency department, the series unfolds hour by hour in real time, and it doesn't spare viewers any of the gorier realities of emergency medicine.
All right, go deep. I want to get a really good grip on both sides of that ball.
Got it.
10 miles. It's going to hurt for a second. You ready? Mother!
But while The Pit may be the hot hospital drama of the moment,
In a quarter of a mile at Wennington Interchange, take the first exit onto the A13 slip road to see London,
which
Barking.
this summer celebrates 40 years on Saturday Night TV.
BBC One favourite Casualty was conceived back in the mid-1980s by writer-directors Paul Unwin and Jeremy Brock, and later in the programme you'll hear me talking to them both, as well as to psychiatrist-turned-screenwriter Dr. Grace Affuriata, who wrote the very 21st
In 300 yards, use the right lane to take the slip road
Mark,
to
I'm going to ask you a
A13.
question I'm asking everybody I meet at the moment. Are
Use
you
the right
watching
lane
Pit?
to take the slip road to
The
A13.
first series, having resisted it for a long time because, firstly, I come from a family in which
Continue on
I'm the only one that
A13
wasn't
for 4
medical.
miles.
So my mother was a GP, my father was a hospital administrator, my sister was in oncology.
And you're the
my
great
brother-
disappointment.
The great disappointment, as you so accurately put it. I'm also really squeamish about actual injury. I love horror movies, they're not real, it's fantastical, but actual injury really,
Yes.
really worries me. And people had said to me, The Pit's great, it's very, very visceral. And I was kind of very worried about, because I started watching television in the 1970s. I remember the series that I really liked was Angels, and that was basically interaction between nurses. It was lots of people having conversations about stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
with the Pit, it's like people come in, intubate them immediately, you're massaging bits sides of there. So I have watched a lot of the Pit through my hands.
Yeah, it's so propulsive, isn't it? I
Wow.
mean, it's the constant movement that comes through camera work, I suppose, but also the way it's told as a kind of hour-by-hour story.
Yeah.
You just find it really difficult not to immediately start watching the next episode.
And by the time you get to the end of the 15 hours of the first series, and that's one shift.
Yeah.
Oh, you think, how does anybody go back and do that again?
No, I know. And it's such a stressful thing to be doing as a doctor, never mind as a patient. And we all have some kind of relationship to that, or are able to imagine what it's like to be in a hospital. And it's, you would never wish that on anybody. And yet, to watch on television, it's just incredibly entertaining. So there is a kind of mystery there, I think, as what's going on, right?
Yeah, why is it none of us would want to go to Casualty, but so many of us make an appointment to watch Casualty, which puts us right there in Casualty?
And also, is this appointment TV, the Pit, that everyone's talking about now, is it actually doing anything different, or is it just another example of why hospital dramas are so consistently entertaining?
Well, to help answer that question, I spoke to Dr. Hannah Hamad, that's academic doctor, not medical doctor, who's long specialised in the study of medical dramas. First as a child watching Casualty in ER with her NHS district nurse mum, and now as a reader in media and communications at Cardiff University. I asked Hannah to take us back to the dawn of the TV hospital drama.
Nurse, screens please.
Here in the UK, it begins with Emergency Ward 10, which was an ITV drama, started out life as a kind of nurse's eye view of the hospital ward. It was originally intended to be a series called Calling Nurse Roberts, but it evolved into a more broad-based hospital drama of the kind that we've become used to. And it ran for many years across the 1950s and 1960s.
Was it any good?
Yes, it was, although I'm not sure it would stand up to a contemporary viewer's sensibilities. The doctors were figures of straightforward benevolence, kind of infallible. It was, I guess, very soft.
Eileen Crawley, 18, tripped over a suitcase and fell down a flight of stairs. Lower abdomen severely bruised. They've done the x-rays, have they?
Yes, on the way up.
In 2 miles, use the second from the left lane to take the A1306 exit towards Dagenham, Hornchurch.
These were the titles that I knew about, although I hadn't watched any of them. What were they like?
Similarly, it was very much the case that these shows were intended to reassure you of the absolute authority and goodwill of the healthcare system.
So one of my earliest experiences of watching hospital drama was Angels, which has kind of been forgotten about. But I remember being really gripped by it, and weirdly enough, my dad really liked it, and he wasn't generally a sort of big television fan. Tell me about
In
Angels.
150 yards, at the roundabout, take the fourth exit onto Marsh Way.
It's one of the great travesties of television history that Angels has been forgotten about. I think without Angels, we couldn't have had Casualty. Angels premiered in 1975. It followed a group of ingenue student nurses at a fictional South London hospital called St Angela's. It was extraordinary.
Exit the roundabout onto Marsh Way.
For example, the light it shone on the extent to which the NHS was propped up by the immigrant labour of nurses of colour from other countries, which is something subsequent dramas didn't do nearly as readily or as well. It also really interestingly acknowledged that nursing was a profession in which queer women could support themselves.
In a quarter of a mile, turn left onto New Road, A1306.
Thank you.
What I really want to tell you how pleased Mr. Hodge was.
If I've been wrong.
If you would have been wrong, I wouldn't have mentioned your name.
Turn left onto New Road, A1306.
It was mine.
It never is the nurse's decision, is it? I think that's half the trouble.
Arguably the most important
Continue on
person
New Road for
behind
3/4
Angels
of a
was
mile.
Paul Milne, who germinated the series, but also worked in consultation with registered nurses, which enabled them to bring real-world accuracy to the scenarios that they were dramatising.
And you've said that it's one of the great travesties that it's been sort of forgotten about and overlooked. Why has it?
Well, formally, storytelling in hospital dramas has changed a lot. The style of shooting seems very static.
Okay.
It's very dialogue heavy. It's very procedure led. I guess the balance between dramatic storytelling, fast-paced action, stylized shooting, and ripped from the headlines storylines is not necessarily a balance that had been struck by 1975.
So the pace gets picked up by Casualty, which then goes on to run forever.
And counting.
Why was Casualty such a success? What was it doing that made it essential viewing?
Casualty brought like visceral body trauma to the table. It was confronting in terms of the sheer horrors that happen to people's bodies that bring them to an A&E department, and socially relevant, dramatising news headlines about changes that were being brought to the NHS at the same time that it was telling very individual stories about the accident at the shipyard.
Casualty gets more violent every night. Staff get paid and picked until they work long hours and